Hi there, and welcome back. I'm excited to start a new series of learning this week around another article that's going to support us in our guiding questions as seventh graders. This is going to be week 4. Specifically, today is lesson 15, and our guiding questions remain the same. So we're really looking at how is the adolescent brain changing? And this week, our topic is going to turn to how exercise, like physical exercise, working out, how is that going to support the development of our brain as teenagers? And also, how can I make an informed decision about an issue like screen time and then effectively argue my position? So we started out with a couple of articles about the brain and the different hemispheres and lobes of the brain. We talked about the development of the brain. And then we turned our attention to growth mindset and really looking at how mindset affects the way we learn and what our motivation to learn is. This week, we turn our attention to a new article, and the title of the article is Research Says Exercise Works Out the Brain as well as the body. So what you will need as we begin lesson 15 is you'll need the article from your distance learning packet. You'll also need lesson 15 and your lesson 15 note catcher. And you'll notice on this slide that there's really 2 pieces to that note catcher. It extends more than 1 page. One is where we're capturing some notes, and the other one is a definitions vocabulary activity. So make sure that you have those pages, the article, lesson 15, and your note catcher. You'll also need a pencil. So go ahead and pause here, and then we'll come back and get started. All right, fantastic. Today, our learning targets are going to remind us of our get started targets in a lot of our cycles of learning. I can write arguments to support claims with clear reasons and relevant evidence. Also, I can use a variety of strategies to determine the meaning of unknown words or phrases. So we're going to be looking at these 2 learning targets in our lesson 15. And as we get started, we're actually going to read aloud, as we always do, the first time we see an article. So I have printed my article. It says, research says exercise works out the brain as well as the body. And what I'm going to do is read aloud the article, and I would ask that you have the article in front of you with your eyes on that print so that you can have a writing utensil, a pencil in your hand, and maybe you will underline and circle things in the reading as I read aloud. And I don't know if you can see this on your screen, but I use a pencil or a marker to do that as I read aloud, and I do it for my own learning. So these are the ways that we sometimes do annotations, or we highlight things that make sense to us or that we have questions about. So I'm going to get started on the reading, and I'd like you to find your article, pause the video if you need to, and then I will begin the read aloud and you can follow along. Research says exercise works out the brain as well as the body. According to new research, exercise isn't just good for the body. It can also sharpen the mind. Scientists have shown that exercise is linked to brain changes throughout all stages of life and can help the brain develop and stay healthy. Babies, for example, need regular exercise to form connections in the brain. In children, research suggests that exercise improves attention, focus, and school performance. In the elderly, exercise has been shown to help slow memory loss. better attention, memory, and multitasking. Lise Elliott is a neuroscientist who writes about the benefits of movement on the brain in her book, Pink Brain, Blue Brain. She points out that exercise affects body and brain alike. The brain benefits as much as the heart and other muscles from physical activity, she said. Charles Hillman, a professor at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, agrees. Quote, "We've found exercise has broad benefits," he said. "These benefits include, quote, improvements in attention, working memory, and the ability to multitask," end quote. How does exercise help the brain? In the mid-1990s, Carl Kottman's team at the University of California, Irvine, showed that exercise triggers the production of something called BDNF in the brain. BDNF helps support the growth of existing brain cells called neurons and the development of new ones. As people get older, BDNF levels fall. And this decline is one reason why some older adults lose memory and mental abilities. According to Kottman, certain types of exercise can keep BDNF levels from becoming too low. In a sense, BDNF is like a brain fertilizer, he said. BDNF protects neurons from injury and facilitates learning. Sharper minds. Over the last 20 years, researchers have learned that exercise can help keep the mind sharp in a number of other ways. The brain is made up of neurons, which are connected to each other by links called synapses. As we age, many synapses break down. Exercise can help, though Kottman's work has shown that in older rodents, exercise increases the number of synapses and causes the brain to develop more neurons. Exercise also increases the release of neurotransmitters, chemicals that relay signals between neurons. Research suggests that exercise improves blood flow to the brain. The blood carries oxygen and feeds neural tissues, so you're getting the benefits that come with that, Hillman said. Increasing blood flow is one more way that exercise can improve mental abilities. From the beginning, lifelong benefits. The positive effects of exercise on the brain can be seen during 3 key stages of life: infancy, pre-adolescence, and adulthood. Exercise is healthy for the brain even at a very young age. Children who move around a lot or are mobile deeply develop more quickly, Elliott said. Infants are in near constant motion, which is extremely important for development, she said. This movement not only strengthens their muscles, but it also helps their brains form connections. The process continues throughout life, but is most intense in infancy and toddlerhood, when children are mastering brand new skills like sitting, standing, walking, running, and jumping. Elliott worries that babies in the United States are spending too much time sitting down. Because of how important exercise is to a young developing brain, it is urgent that infants be allowed to be physically active. Exercise is also healthy for pre-adolescent brains. In fact, some research suggests that regular exercise can improve school performance. Hillman's team found that children ages 7 through 9 who participated in a 60-minute after-school exercise program had better focus and processed information more quickly than children who did not exercise. The extent of the effects depend on how much kids exercised. The more days the children attended the exercise program, the more their focus improved. Brain's later stages. Finally, exercise helps keep the mind sharp during adulthood. Sadly, the hippocampus, an important area of the brain, gets smaller naturally in late adulthood. The hippocampus is involved in memory and learning, and it gets smaller. People start losing their memory. Research suggests exercise can increase the size of the hippocampus and increase levels of the protein that aids the growth of new brain cells. This can help prevent older adults from losing mental abilities and memory. Researchers from the University of Wisconsin School of Medicine and Public Health also found that people who said they exercised for 30 minutes 5 times a week in late middle age did better tests on mental performance. Additionally, adults who exercised showed less accumulation of the beta amyloid plaque. The beta amyloid plaque is a protein that builds up in brains of people with Alzheimer's disease. Alzheimer's disease is usually for older adults. It causes them to lose their memory. At all ages, active people did better on immediate memory and visual spatial tasks and had larger hippocampi than inactive people. Period. Okay, so our focus this week is going to be around how exercise promotes a healthier brain at every stage of your life. And so we're going to dive deeply into this over the next several lessons. But for now, I'd like you to think about what this article is mostly about. And what did you learn about how exercise helps the brain develop and stay healthy over your lifetime? So think about those two things. And what I'm going to have you do is pause the video and with a family member, caregiver, or a friend, talk about the following questions. And you can leave this screen up, this video, so you can see these questions. I think I'm going to sneeze, so just one second. Sorry. How does exercise support your brain and your body? What kind of exercise do you enjoy the most? And think about how developing a routine for exercise can support your body and brain when you are older, well, when you are younger and older. That's the question. So think about that. So pause the video, go have a conversation about these questions around exercise in your article, and then we'll come back and dig into the writing portion of our lesson. Great. Welcome back. What you'll need now is your writing utensil, like your pencil, and you will need your distance learning packet and your note catcher. So using the note catcher, I'd like you to write the gist of each section of the article, beginning with the introduction, and then the following sections that you'll see on page 1 of your note catcher. The first section after the introduction is better attention, memory, and multitasking. So reread that or go back and listen to the beginning of the video where I read that aloud and just write down the gist of that section of text. And then do the same thing for sharper minds, then the section from the beginning, lifelong benefits, and the last section, brain's later stages. The second part of your writing task today is about writing definitions of some of the words in the article that are in the bottom part of the chart. So specifically, I asked you to define your understanding of BDNF. It's not even a word. It's like these letters that mean something, and they do describe it in the article. Also, they do define synapses and hippocampus. And then they also talk about a beta amyloid plaque. These are highly technical vocabulary terms in the article. So go ahead and pause the video here, write the gist of each of the sections on the top part of your note catcher, and then find those 4 vocabulary words and write some definitions and how you did that. And I'll see you back here in about 20 minutes. Okay, welcome back. This is always the big day. We do the reading and we capture a lot of information around the gist. So when I went back and I was looking for BDNF, I just looked for those letters and I found them pretty quickly there on page 2, kind of at the top. And I hope that you found it also. They talked about something called BDNF and its development in the brain. And then it goes on to really define what BDNF is and that it helps the growth of existing brain cells called neurons and the development of new ones. So even though you might not fully understand like, ooh, what is a neuron? But BDNF helps with that development. So it helps protect neurons from injury. And it's like a fertilizer for the brain. That really helped me understand. It's like making fields grow, food or grass grow. Like if you fertilize it and nourish it, it's going to thrive. And BDNF is like brain fertilizer. That really helped me understand. So that's what we're always looking for. I really challenge you when you are reading, not just the articles in your distance learning packet, but when you're reading anything, don't just skip the words you don't know. Take a moment, pause, try to figure out what they're telling you about that word or look it up. So stay curious. Thanks for the hard work on that note catcher and keep track of that because throughout the week we'll be going back to certain sections and we'll be doing a writing project at the end of the week as well. So share your work on this note catcher with someone and tell them 3 things you learned from the article straight off your note catcher. You can then read for an additional 20 minutes any text you want. Doesn't have to be from your distance learning packet. It could be from something else, something you're interested in. Stay curious. And then lastly, do your day 1 fluency practice by using a timer that's maybe on the kitchen stove or on a phone or maybe a stopwatch, who knows. Set it for 60 seconds and read the article for 1 minute and count the words that you read and where you got to in those 60 seconds. So we'll see if your fluency and your ability to read this complex text increases as we work with it throughout the week. I really had a great time today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon.